guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Just like all things today, Democrats have selected a new delegate to recruit male voters. And no, it's not a dude in a dress. It is an actual woman. Spoiler alert, it's the big one. Apparently, to figure out how to get men to come back to the Democrats' cause, they need a representative that represents men. And they're going to have that person to speak directly to men and bring them back into the fold to make sure that they're on board with the Democrats. So they've chosen, I'm not even kidding, let me see if I can get this listing right. She is a young, disabled, queer person of color who's also overweight. For those of you that watched my video the other day, speaking about the Democrats, they're going to scrap their $20 million SAM or Speaking to American Men campaign. They said, we're not going to speak to American men. We don't need to do that. We're going to enlist the queer, overweight, disabled, Latina, brown person, Olivia Giulianiana, to target young male voters. Oh, that'll work. Democratic Party strategists, they don't give a shit. They do not give a shit about you. They do not care. They can't even be bothered to have a man reach out to men. They're going to have a person that has all the tick marks. A Democratic Party strategist and activist, oh, that's who we want, Olivia Giulianiana, has been enlisted to advise the party on strategies to appeal to young male voters. I'm sorry. You have to laugh. You must laugh. You have to find this funny. How is it that the way that they're going to reach men is not, they don't want to talk to men. They don't want to listen to men. They don't want anything to do with men. As a matter of fact, the person that's going to reach out to you and try to connect to you on a one-to-one heart-to-heart level as a man is not a man. It is a queer, brown, disabled Latina woman, overweight Latina woman. Giulianiana suggested the party should address issues such as baby deletion from a male perspective. In other words, guys, you need it too, because you know how many of you are hooking up with all these women and one of them might get pregnant and therefore you're on board with baby deletion, right? I mean, all the hundreds of women you're just sleeping in without protection. You should be supporting the Democrat Party, emphasizing how young men could benefit from such policies. She's also stated that many young conservative men are pro-choice, support gay marriage, and are in favor of Bravo Lima Mike, the Black Lives Matter movement. Oh, well, there you go. If you want to know what's going on with what conservative men need, let's ask her. I've said this multiple times. They don't care about you as a person. They don't care about the issues you're having in life. They don't care about what you think or what you feel or what you really want. It's how do we reach out to these young men and convince them that actually we're really on their side and they need to give us our votes. Are we actually going to do anything for them? No, because we can't at the same time support feminism and also men. We can't support DEI and also white people. They're running themselves right off a cliff with this stuff, per usual. Could your health issues be caused by an invisible enemy? Fatigue, bloating, brain fog? What if parasites are the real culprit? I was digging into parasite cleanses when I came across this video from a trusted doctor.
What are the main differences between ivermectin and fenbendazole? These are two anti-pathogens used to treat parasitic infections and other similar types of conditions. They are used quite often in the oncology world to treat cancer. They both have as anti-pathogenic abilities.
Interesting, right? Did you know 60 million Americans apparently have parasites? It's everywhere in our food and our water and even our pets. They secretly invade your body, wreaking havoc on your gut, energy levels, and even your brain. And the mainstream medical system doesn't just want you to think about this because one great cleanse can change your life. The Wellness Company has a solution for you, ivermectin and mebendazole. FDA-approved parasite solutions now combined in one cleanse combo. Just fill out a brief medical intake form to get your 3-month supply today. Lots of parasite cleanses are all over social media, but not the gold standard level. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, is officially here, and the Wellness Company is making those hard-to-get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Head to twc.health/oddmanout and use code oddmanout to save $60 off plus free shipping. Don't wait, cleanse your body, and take back control today. She says, I'm a 22-year-old bisexual, of course. I love the Harris campaign. I love the ties to Brat and the Apple Dance, which was copied by numerous Democratic elected officials. Oh, that's important to me. I'm all about Brat and dancing, and I loved it because it was designed for me, a young queer woman, to love. Now, that's not to say we shouldn't have content that appeals to all demographics of young voters, but that's precisely the problem. We don't. You can't target crazy and sane at the same time. You can't target men and women at the same time. You have to target something that is important to both people. Hey, if you want to reach out to young people today, talk about the cost of living. Talk about the unaffordable housing. Talk about not being able to get a job. Talk about the student loan debt and how their degrees, a lot of these degrees, aren't worth anything. Then you're talking to men and women at the same time. They can't do that. They've decided they have to put up women up on a pedestal and hold them high in regard, and they're special for all the things. Because let's face it, you guys have heard me. I come on here many, many times talking about various things. How many times do I have to come on here and say, this related to me as a straight white man? I've never said that ever in my life, because that's not how I view the world. I know most of you guys out there that are watching my content, nobody's ever come to you and said, hey, does this relate to you as a, quote, black man or Latino man or an Australian man or, I don't know, a Brazilian man? No, that's not how you reach people. You reach them on core fundamental values. The values that they have are not the same as mine. I'm not into changing boys into girls and girls into boys. Nothing you say will make me be okay with that. I'm not for, baby deletion unless it's like an emergency, but 99.4% of those cases are just because I was lazy or stupid and I didn't make a good decision. You're never going to get me on board with that. And yeah, we can have the arguments about the finer details of this stuff, and many of you may disagree with me. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden we hate each other and don't listen to each other. It means we respectfully listen to each other's viewpoints and kind of see if there's any similarity that we can actually come to agreement on how to run a society. They don't have that. This is nothing about reaching out to people. And she's got they specifically said the focus on young male voters is noteworthy. Historically, this demographic has not always aligned with democratic values. Actually, historically, yes, it has. Most of the youngest generation are always left-leaning. This is the first time in, I don't know how many years, since Reagan, back in the 1980s, that they've actually, the newest generation is leaning rightward. So that's not even accurate. By strategically developing a figure like Giuliana, the Democrats aim to bridge the gap and foster a connection that could lead to increased voter turnout. The only bridge that you're going to gap with a woman like this and men is if you throw her in the gap so we can walk across the space in between the two, because she fills it. Listen to this interview that Amuse over on X captured. And it just shows you they're so out of touch with what men actually need and want in their lives.
Negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses. And I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys. And in that, I've realized, like, even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
Negative view.
Okay, first of all, they're not welcomed in it. I've done multiple videos on this where it's specifically, you've got AOC and Ilhan Omar and other people in our politics that are specifically saying white men are the problem. We need to target white men. The Biden administration said one of the biggest risks to our country's safety and is white nationalism and white people specifically, white men specifically. You're calling us dangers to our own country. Number one. Number two, you are not hanging out with frat guys. There's no frat guy party you're going to and sitting down while these guys are playing chug-a-lug and smoking the happy weed out of a bent can with holes poked in it. Anyway, she's not going to the party and sitting down and having deep discussions with frat dudes that are conservative. Because frat dudes would look and they'd be like, number one, we're not talking to you. Number two, we don't agree with you. And in the meantime, I'm basically going to go smash my 108-pound girlfriend with a double D boobs because I'm a football star and I'm an athlete and I got a lot going on. I'm not going to sit down and talk politics with you. So once again, total disconnect. And after she did this interview, this is the same interview again. I'm not going to put us through it. After this came out, she decides to then brand Republicans for mocking her because she's being used by Democrats to attract young male voters. So out of touch, so out of touch.
The single time I saw one of y'all posting about me, I had one main thought at the top of my head. Y'all are a bunch of y'all are the ones that made it about a woman and her identity and the way that she looks. Something that y'all consistently claim the Democrats do. You don't actually give a about young men. Instead, a lot of you want to talk about my weight. You're using pictures of me from about 65 pounds ago. So
did you eat that 65 pounds back is my question. Because you don't look any slimmer here. I'm just saying.
Let me ask you this. If I lose another 65 pounds, will y'all actually raise young men's wages? Will you actually increase funding to mental health services? Or are you just going to find another way to deflect from the fact that y'all don't actually have any policy plan to help them?
Neither do you. That's the problem that they keep running into. Neither do you. Because people like this will do this all the time. They have all these great ideas. Well, we're going to fund these great things for men. Does it actually happen? No, it never does. There's 2,000 and some odd safe houses for women out there that have been harmed by their partner or other things. How many are out there for men? One, maybe. They speak a good game, but here's the truth. She doesn't care either. She wants to make sure that Democrats stay in power. That's the only reason she cares. Trust me on that.
I can keep making this into some kind of big joke of, oh yeah, let's send her to every frat house in the country. I'm not afraid to go into frat houses or to go to college campuses or to talk to Republicans because unlike y'all, I don't think that they're all shallow assholes. I think that they're actual people who can hold a conversation. But clearly, based off the way you talk about them and the way that you treat them, you think that they're dumb as shit. I actually don't. So I'm going to continue to advocate for young men to get the policy agenda that they do deserve. And I'm going to continue to lose weight. And then maybe when I finally do drop that next 65 pounds, we can revisit this conversation and see if you can actually stand on business. Because this time, none of you did.
You know what? I'm not into I'm going to talk real. Listen here, motherfuckers. I'm real. I'm keeping it real because I'm dropping the F-bomb and I'm cursing and I'm just real. I'm down to earth like you dudes. The man is an asshole. This comes off as so fake and so full of bullshit. And let's be honest about this. If she were to really talk to conservative men or even, I would say men that are not on the left, if I were to say to her, actually, you know when things fell off a cliff? When we got off the gold reserve. We got off the gold reserve and we started letting women in the workforce. We doubled the labor, and since then, the wages for men have stagnated. You know what we need to do? We need to lock the borders tight. We need women out of the workforce. We need to lock the borders tight, and we need to keep some tariffs in place. And that way, the jobs stay here in America. They're worked by men. These men get a livable, good wage. We don't need all the extra housing for the incoming immigrants. And that way, housing will become affordable. Women can stay home and do the easy work of laundry and cleaning and cooking while the men do the real hard work. And if you women say, well, it's harder work to stay home, you're going to tell me it's harder work to stay home and take care of a house, because I do that. I mean, I have to take care of my house. You're going to tell me that's harder than getting in a car, commuting 30, 45 minutes, having a boss, usually a man, that doesn't care about you, telling you how to live your life, what to do, what your schedule is, what you need to accomplish in your life, getting some money, and then going home and giving that money to a babysitter that watched your kids, or to, I don't know, a maid that cleans your house. You're going to tell me do you think she's going to sit down and have that conversation with me? Of course not, because at her core, she's a feminist that's picking up the buzzwords, that's trying to fool and trick men that she actually cares. And in the meantime, if she sat down and really genuinely talked with a conservative, a true conservative man, that man is quite a bit further right than our current Republican Party. Our current Republican Party is the Democrats from 20 years ago, because they're not conservative. None of them are, or very few of them are. And so now today, you've got Republicans, which are basically centrists at this point. You've got the Democrat, which is further left, and real traditional men, the real men that think that men should be working and women should not be, and taking care of family and educating your kids on your own, and the man is the head of the household, and maybe there should be some religion involved, because it seems to a lot of people that they've taken God out of their hearts and they've replaced it with either government or DEI or some other movement. Do you think if she's really going to reach out and talk to those people? Of course not. I'll give her this, though. She is right about one thing. The Republicans don't care about the men either. We know that, though. So in many cases, we're actually voting for the least of all evils. Spoiler alert, that's not the Democrats. And if you don't believe me about even conservatives not being conservative enough, this is Fox News. And of course, they have Tommy Lauren, or Lauren, however you pronounce it, and Laura Ingraham, and they're doing a segment. And they're woeing the fact that there are not enough masculine men, not for society, not for the good of everybody, but for women. Look, we have a lot of problems in dating. I get that. And yes, we do have a lot of young men today that are way too feminine, way too in touch with their emotions. They need to find some logic. They need to find some stoicism. They need to find some grounding. We do have that problem. I'm going to let you listen to what they say, and then I've got a response, because it makes me very upset.
It's a major problem. And, you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less. And if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
So, as usual, men are suffering, women most affected. Here's the problem with her logic, okay? Yes, we do have a feminine man problem. We have a weak man problem in today's world. You know what she doesn't discuss? And this is what bothers me. She doesn't discuss the education system basically getting rid of all men. I mean, it's something like 85% are female teachers now. She doesn't discuss the inherent imbalances in divorce. She doesn't talk about child custody. So what happens? Divorce, awful, right? Lots of divorce going on. Women, 50% of women today in the United States, and it's very close in other countries, are now single mothers. Now you've got women raising boys. You've got school systems that are full of women. These men go off to college. It's all women. They look to news and TV and social media, and what are they told? They're told in the movies that the white man is always the bad guy, and that the women are the strong, smart, capable ones. They get all the way to age 21, 22, 23, 24, and they've been told masculinity is bad, and it's been drilled into their heads. And they've had no examples of positive male role models, not only in their real lives, but at least in the 80s and 90s, we had Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger and other big, masculine, strong, powerful one-liner men that boys would look up to and say, I want to be Conan the Barbarian. They've eradicated men from young men's lives. And so young men have no role model. So how am I supposed to just instantly change who I am? The programming's already set in. But only the conservatives today, because again, this is on Fox News, and Tommy and Laura Ingraham both consider themselves conservative women, which they're not. They're feminists like everybody else. If they really cared about men's problems, always go to the root of the problem. They're angry at the young men living in mom's basement. Okay, but a lot of these guys are going to college and they're not getting hired because of the color of their skin or they're straight or whatever else. That is a true thing that's happening. We can go over the statistics on that. I've done it plenty of times. These young men can't get hired. These young men can't afford apartments. They can't afford housing. They're not being given the opportunities. And here's the thing. When you say, yeah, but as a young guy, you should grow up and you should want to get married and want to have kids and want to make more money and want to be successful, the young men of today are simply saying, why? I have no incentive. I have no desire. There's nothing for me. What is the point of me to work really hard for a wife I'll never have, or that she'll divorce and leave me? Why should I save up a bunch of money or get ready to put my kids through college when the wife may divorce me and take those kids away from me and take the college money away from me? Why should I work really hard and save up all this money when I'll never be able to afford a home? Why should I go through all of this when you've got open borders? And look, I understand the arguments about why some immigration is good and that we should take the best and the brightest from around the world. I understand some of those arguments. But when you open your border to 10 or 20 million people and they come in and these people don't speak a language, that instantly puts them kind of in the workers, the people that are doing roofing and HVAC and plumbing and electrical work and manual labor. Well, you're taking away jobs from American men, and those jobs do pay very well, by the way. And you're taking those away from American men. So when you take away the labor force and give it to workers that come across the border and give it to them for cheaper, and then the middle class and the upper class jobs and things like that, you come right out and basically say, we don't want white men in college, or we don't want conservatives in college, or we don't want to hire those same men. What is a guy supposed to do? Well, he gives up. He gives up on working hard. He gives up on earning. He gives up on trying to get his own place. He just gives up. And it's not the fault of the man. It's the fault of a system that broke that man, that young man. And since he has no positive role models, he has no one to turn to and say, how do I succeed? How do I get past my negative emotions? How do I become, like, how do I find a job that's going to work for me, to get me, to launch me, or give me the skills or the aptitude to get where I want to in life? There's no one around to ask. He gets a bunch of harpy women like these two. So not only do I think no political party or very few political parties really care about men, I don't genuinely believe that. The Democrats are certainly a long ways away from finding what real conservative men want. Yeah, they'll probably talk to, I don't know, somebody out there, but whoever this representative is, whatever they think they're going to be doing with this chick, good luck to you. Good luck to you. I don't think they're going to reach anybody. The Democrats are so lost. They're so in the weeds. They're so out of touch that they don't know what they're doing anymore. And at this point, if you think they care about you, you're a sucker, because all they care about is just enough to get your vote, and then they'll toss you right back in the trash can where you've been. Guys, if you like my work, don't forget to join me over at betterbachelor.locals.com. We're going to do 80s movie night tonight, where I'm going to stream some 80s TV shows. I am also going to put that over on Rumble to Rumble Premium members as well. So you can jump over there if you don't want to join me on Locals. You can at least go over to Rumble Premium. Join me on Odd Man Out, my channel over there. You can watch it over there tonight as kind of a spoiler. I normally only do it on Locals, but I figure I'll do something on Rumble for my viewers over there. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next one.